Thank you, Steve. I had Steve in a panic this morning, told him I didn't remember I was speaking. But it was pretty easy when Nelson asked what would be the title of what you're going to talk about. Um I don't often title, what I talk about, but the first thing that came to my mind was guiding principles, and it's easy to speak on that, and I'll give you a little overview on that without taking up too much time or take you too far away from cinnamon rolls this morning. So it has been a number of years. Truth be told, it was pre-tornado, so it's that long ago. And had a dinner last night with the Knepp family and looked through some pictures in a book and was just amazed at the destruction, but more amazed at the reconstruction and what's taken place over the years. And there's weeping at night but joy in the morning, and it's just really great to see what's really taken place here in the last almost dozen years especially. So I'm happy to be here. I did have a taste of the cinnamon roll. I promised my wife she wouldn't be disappointed. She's not. The guys stopped bringing them back to St. Louis. I think that at first they thought, well, if we don't bring them back, then they'll come next year to the K&K seminar. And then they just stopped. I think were not happy with me, but I'm glad to be here this time. I saw Nelson and Jerry and a lot of the folks from K&K at the BCMC show that was held this year. Where was the show? I can't remember. I'm sorry? In Knoxville, Tennessee. And I was only there for a short time. It was a period of time where I was literally doing day trips in a lot of places. And Nelson invited me to come for this. And I knew what was going to be transpiring this year. I announced on January 4th that this will be my last year, so my 40th year will be my last year at MiTek, and I always wanted to finish well. And I couldn't think of a better way, literally, to kick off the year. This is my first business trip outside of St. Louis this year in my finishing well year, and I couldn't think of a better place to do it than here. And so when Nelson asked me, I had a little bit of a smile, maybe on my face, but certainly inside, knowing that I was going to be able to do this as one of the things that I really wanted to do in my finishing well year. I'm going to call it that instead of my final year, my finishing well year. So I was really happy to be able to do it, and certainly when Nelson asked if I would say a few words, my answer was certainly I'd be happy to do that if that's what you'd like. So be careful what you wish for. But guiding principles are very important. And my wife is from Indiana. I'm not from Indiana, although I was transplanted here in 1977 up in the northern part of the state. It's where I met my wife. And I was born and raised in New York City, New Jersey. Most of my accent is gone, except for when I'm around my sister who still lives in New Jersey, and then it comes right back. But when I came to Indiana in 1977, I saw a very different way of life than the very congested, busy, not very others-thinking environment that I grew up in. It was a little bit different back in New Jersey and New York, especially in the 50s and 60s. But coming to Indiana, I got to see another way of life. And it's where I found my Lord and Savior in 1978, and that foundation in terms of guiding principles has really been what has fed everything since. So I went through my career at MiTek. Steve said I was a district sales manager. I was based out of South Bend, Indiana, and started with 4 states around the Great Lakes, and then it became 5, then 6, and then at one point I had 19 states that I was responsible for. And especially during the recession, 1981 was a rough time. Those who remember that era was not a lot of fun. And in that time, I got to spend a lot of time thinking about my future and my vision for that. What did God have in store for me? What did I really aspire to? And I always wondered what it would be like to actually run a company, be in charge of the company. And I'd had a lot of responsibility over the years in charge of divisions and even subsidiaries, but I'd never really run the whole company where you could really begin to, I don't like to use the words impose, but certainly influence and impact your way of thinking in terms of leadership. So I got that opportunity in 2010, and on January 1st, 2011, I became the Chief Executive Officer of MiTek worldwide. So here I had my opportunity. And we're owned by Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway is the company that Warren Buffett is the CEO of, so he is my boss. And he's a man of integrity. There's no question about that. And he has 3 criteria for leadership. He wants in leaders, he says, somebody who's really smart. He likes really smart people. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a 4-year, an 8-year degree or anything like that, but he just likes really smart people. The second thing he talks about are people who have a tremendous passion for what they do. So somebody who's really smart, really has tremendous passion. And then the third thing he says, and they need to have the highest level of integrity. And then he follows that by saying, and let me tell you this, there's no amount of number 1 and number 2 that can make up for a deficiency in the third one, integrity. So it doesn't matter how smart you are, how passionate you are, integrity is the most important thing. And I'm sure that's what informed for me the development of MiTek's core values. And I really had very little to do with it, although I participated in a process with 35 other people in our company, a cross-section of people, to identify MiTek's 7 core values. And that's what the guiding principles are based on, the 7 core values. And I'll just do them 1 through 7 and tell you what the guiding principle is behind each one of those. And number 1, as you would probably expect, is integrity. And I'm proud to say that of the 35 people that participated in this process, all 35 unanimously selected integrity as our number 1 core value. And integrity is simply doing the right thing, especially when nobody's looking. That's the guiding principle behind the core value of integrity. And core values are not action points, strategy. Core values are what we say are unchangeable. Those are the things that don't change, kind of like your DNA. They don't change because the market is down, the market is up, competition is a little heavier this year, lumber prices are skyrocket, whatever it may be. The core values never change. So number 1 is integrity. Number 2 is a passion for our customers. We have a passion for our customers at MiTek. We've always said our customers are number 1. Our customers are our lifeblood. But it goes beyond that. This is an example. This is a relationship that we have with a customer that's very special. We have a passion for our customers. And not every customer likes to be treated the same way. I mean, everybody wants to pay a fair price, be treated with respect, etc. But some allow you a little closer in than other customers. We like that. We like whenever we have that opportunity. In fact, we love it. So number 2 is a passion for our customers. Number 3 is teamwork. And it's probably a very overused term, but we think about it very seriously, because certainly you can get way more accomplished with people working together and not against each other than if you know, that even one person with a lot of passion and drive can never accomplish what more than one person can do. I remember a friend of mine in business from Texas. I quote him often. And he was speaking at an industry meeting one night, and he said, "I'd rather have 2 people working with me than 5 people working for me." And that really resonated with me. So teamwork is our number 3 core value. Our number 4 core value we call empowered purpose partners. So we call our employees at MiTek purpose partners because we all have a single purpose, and that's to lead our company based on our core values and pursue our vision. Our vision being for MiTek to be in every structure worldwide. It's a very lofty vision, but we're having a lot of fun pursuing it. So we all have a common purpose, and we're partners in doing that. We know we're employees. We understand some people call us teammates or associates. It doesn't really matter. But our number 4 core value is empowered purpose partners. And the key word there is empowerment, is empowered. And I always tell when I do these talks, I rarely do it on top of a jig table, by the way. But when I do talks like this to our subsidiaries, I tell them that empowered purpose partners begins with empowered leadership. How can I expect a purpose partner, an employee, to act in an empowered way, to make decisions on the spot? Sometimes, maybe not with immediate authority, but knowing it's the right thing to do if we don't have leaders who feel that they are empowered themselves. It's very difficult to pass that on if you don't feel it yourself. We have a saying when we talk about power at MiTek in our people-first culture and philosophy, that real power is the power that makes other people powerful. Real power is the power that makes other people powerful. So I believe in empowerment almost to the point of abdication. In other words, you get to the point where you're empowering your people so much, it almost feels like you're just giving it all to them and you're not doing anything. Some days I feel pretty good about that, actually. But people that really trust in this culture and these guiding principles are willing to speak up and say, I need help with that. And that's telling me maybe I've taken empowerment a little bit too far. But how do you know if you've empowered enough? Usually when you take it maybe a little bit too far and you can pull it back. So number 4 is empowered purpose partners. Number 5 is a commitment to excellence. And we talk about excellence in everything we do. It's in our financial dealings, in our quality of our products, in hiring, in even when we're separating ways with people for whatever reason. We have a commitment to excellence. We're not perfect. We are under construction, there's no question about it. I tell our folks that this is a journey, this is not a destination, but we have to always strive with commitment to excellence in mind. So commitment to excellence is something that becomes foundational. What's the excellent thing to be doing here? What's the excellent way to be developing this product, this software, this service? And that's the underlying principle behind our core value, number 5, a commitment to excellence. Number 6 is relationship driven. I've always been a relationship kind of person. I did a talk once for our technical group. So here's a bunch of tech reps, and the guy that came up through sales and sales management, I'm going to give him a talk, and the title of my talk was, I've never sold a thing in my life. And they didn't understand that. And I said, I've never sold a thing in my life. And I still believe that. I have never sold a thing in my life. Now, I've had a lot of great customers, buy a lot of stuff from our company and greatly appreciate it. But I've never had to go sell it. And it's really believing in what you do, your commitment to excellence, and having products and services that you're proud of, but it's about building relationships. Mark, James, and I were talking. Mark is a regional VP for us in sales, and Mark, James, and I were talking just this morning. He had emailed me a couple of weeks ago about a customer that we got back after having parted ways a number of years ago. And I used to talk as a sales manager to our sales folks about the 10-10-10 rule. The 10-10-10 rule is simple. It will take you about 10 months to get a customer. You think about it. You cold call, you develop, you got to get a demo, they're evaluating, you're answering questions, you're taking them to other customers to see. So say 10 months to get a customer. You can lose a customer in less than 10 seconds, usually by saying a dumb thing or doing a dumb thing. And if you're fortunate, you might get that customer back in 10 years. 10, 10, 10. So Mark had emailed me about this particular customer, and he said, I remember your 10, 10, 10. And he said, we did this one in 10, 10, 8. So I was happy that he discounted it by 2 years and got that customer back in 8 years. So relationships are vital. Relationships in every direction, whether it's with peer-to-peer, whether it's from you to your supervisor, from your supervisor down, with customers, with vendors. I had an issue just this week where we're the customer and we didn't do the right thing with a vendor, and I was a little bit upset about that. And the easy thing is to say is, well, we're the customer. Well, it doesn't matter. We're relationship driven, and we live by our integrity, so it doesn't matter. Relationship driven, very important. Number 7, core value, is ownership minded. And it doesn't mean you have to actually own a piece of the rock. It's ownership minded. It's not ownership per se, it's ownership minded. My grandfather was an immigrant from Sicily and came to New York City, and I grew up in New York City in the Bronx, and he was a barber. And when I was a little kid, in the 50s, my father would bring me to the barber shop, and even a lot of times my dad had a weekday off. He worked in the postal service, and my grandfather would be sweeping in front of the barber shop. And I always used to see my grandfather all by himself out there sweeping in front of his shop, whole street full of businesses. And later in life, I asked my dad that. And I asked him, why did Grandpa just always sweep in front of the barber shop? And he said, well, Grandpa had the philosophy that if he swept in front of his shop, it was a good example for the other shops on the street. If everybody swept in front of their shop, the whole street would be clean. And if every shop on every street in the city swept in front of their shop, the whole city would be clean. And that's an ownership mentality. And you don't have to own anything to have that mindedness to take whatever it is you're responsible for. It doesn't matter. You might not have anybody reporting to you. You're responsible for detailing on a set of plans. You're responsible for some operation in the plant, whatever it may be, loading a truck, dispatch, sales, it doesn't matter. If you have an ownership mentality to what you do, and if everybody does that, it's teamwork becomes almost the results of that, what I say is exponential. It means that 1 and 1 no longer just makes 2. So it's multiplied way out. So our core values are integrity, a passion for our customer, teamwork, empowered purpose partners, commitment to excellence, relationship driven, and ownership minded. And that's the DNA that I wanted to come back to the company. I had a short sabbatical in 2009 and come back to the company to take over and be able to share and impart that philosophy, and that be the culture and the leadership that we have at MiTek. So those are the guiding principles that we utilize, and I'm happy to be here in my finishing well year. It's really a blessing to be a part of this after so many years. I go back a long way, and I still remember the first time I came to K&K and not only had a tour of what K&K was doing here, but fresh start with Abe Knepp, and it really warmed my heart. And K&K will always have a special place in my heart and my family as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate your attention, and have a great time today.